few days ago, a leftist LGBTQ supporter harassed me, then reported me, so all of my official Instagram and Facebook got deleted. Facebook then emailed me asking me to beg them to get my account back. No, my accounts can remain deleted forever. It's not important to me. Then this leftist guy, Thomas, emailed me claiming I am wrong about broccoli being a hybrid, and that I should pay him $500 because I offered such reward to anyone who can find falsehoods in my website. First of all, the definition of a hybrid in biology don't match with what the dictionary says. Your science can't properly define what a woman, child, or what constitutes a species or kind. It is impossible for two different species like a cat and a dog to create a hybrid together. The example given in the dictionary is false. A mule and a horse isn't a different species but the same. There are hundreds of variations within the horse species. There's pony, zebras, mule, and they all can be made from crossbreeding one species, but it's the same kind. Again, it is impossible for two different kinds of species or animals to reproduce together. A bird cannot reproduce with a snake or a fish with a rat. If that's what the word hybrid means to you, then you should change the meaning of the word hybrid to fantasies and imaginary animals that don't exist. The word hybrid in biology is only possible within the same kind of animal and the same species. I'll add 5 examples. The cat kind, only one species with hundreds of variations, from bobcat to housecat to lions, but they can all reproduce together, even if indirectly due to size differences. Dog kind is the second example. Fox can reproduce with dogs and there's hundreds of variations. You can crossbreed 5-pound Chihuahua to a 150-pound Rottweiler, but it's still one species, the dog kind. Third example is the dove kind. There's many variations within the dove kind. There's chickens, turkey, peacock, etc. And they can all reproduce together. But it is still one species. For details, go to my website and read Chapter 3, www.truehumanhistory.com. Fourth example is the ape kind. There's hundreds of variations, from gorilla to chimpanzees to orangutans to bonobo, etc. It is still the same species, the ape kind. Fifth and last example is humans. There's hundreds of human variations and races. There are midgets, blacks, whites, Mexicans, Mongolians, etc. They all vary in shapes, color, and sizes. From 40 pounds dwarf to 700 pounds sumo wrestler. But it is still the same species, one kind, the human kind. We know if they are the same species if they can reproduce together. If they cannot reproduce together, then they are not related. Humans can only reproduce with other humans. Apes can only reproduce with other apes. Humans and apes aren't related. Otherwise, there will be millions of ape-human hybrid by now. Do blacks in Africa look similar to gorillas in Africa? Yes, just as the Mongolian fox looks similar to Mongolians with Chinese eyes, but it doesn't mean Mongolians are related to fox. It means they adapted to the same environment. The nose of the gorilla in Africa looks similar to the nose of African men in the same area because they adapted in the same environment. It doesn't mean Africans are related to gorillas any more than Mongolians are related to fox. With that said, because I've insulted these leftist weirdo, he called me homophobic and brought up my Flickr account. Because my Facebook got blocked for being homophobic and claiming 15 years old is an adult in the court of law, the reason for bringing up my Flickr account is to falsely accuse me of being a pedophile. The word pedophilia have been weaponized by leftist weirdos and has lost its true meaning, just like the word racist and fascist. To them, everybody they disagree with is a racist pedophile. They don't have a true definition of what constitutes racism or pedophilia or fascism, they just throw it around accusing people they don't like of it. So let's learn what pedophilia is. First, we have to know what it means to be a child. What is a definition of a child? I've asked many brainwashed leftists this question and not one of them has given me an answer, unsurprisingly, since they can't define what a woman is either. They can't even define what homophobic is. I've been called homophobic many times by these leftists despite me working with gays for many years in nursing and hotel, proving I have no fear or phobia of gays. In fact, I have photos with them at work still there in Yosemite today. If I have phobia of gays, I'll jump away within 1 feet in their presence. Now back to the definition of what constitutes a child. A child is prepubescent, before puberty, and since puberty could possibly last to 2 years, anyone before the age of 14 years old is a child. Now there's always exceptions to everything. Some finish puberty earlier. I didn't produce sperm until I arrived in USA at 13 years old. But exceptions shouldn't speak for the majority. To err in the side of caution, anyone before 14 years old is defined as a child and anyone after 15 years old is adult. 14 years old is technically no longer a child, but again, it's better to err in the side of caution. Quincy, 15 years old, has been celebrated as a woman for many generations. In fact, the US government agrees with me, as they always try 15 years old as an adult in the court of law, and you sheep aren't fighting the government, aren't you? The government changes definition of what a child is. 15 years old is either a child or adult. The definition relies on how much money prison for profit can make. We are always ruled by kings. The strong and powerful always writes history. After America liberated themselves from the king in England, they didn't want another king, so they invented the constitutional republic, which is a hoax, but that's another topic for another time. Now back to the topic. America is the one and only nation in the entire world who put their 15-year-old to 16-year-old daughters on birth control pills so they can have sex with multiple partners, then mock the rest of the world for giving their 15-year-old to 16-year-old daughters in marriage. This is why they falsely accused me as a pedophile, because I'm telling the truth. I have never been a pedophile. I have zero interest in sexual activity with prepubescent children. I have zero interest with meeting up with any children. If you watch 15-year-old Tracy Lords in her films and magazines, I can honestly say she's attractive and a beautiful woman. How brainwashed you got to be to look at this woman and say that's pedophilia. If that's pedophilia, then all straight men are pedophiles, including your brother, father, husband, cousin, because I guarantee they'll find Tracy Lords attractive in 1984. They may lie about it. We are a nation of hypocrites after all. But lying don't change facts. Didn't Brad Pitt, the actor, dated a 16-year-old when he was in his 20s? Didn't most celebrities and politicians and musicians you admire dated teenagers when they were in their 20s? Are you a liar, or can you be honest with yourself? Frontal lobe's development isn't a valid excuse in the court of law.